We be live!
And we be back.
Yes!
I thought that one worked. Yeah, I figured
That was good.
in theme. Yeah. We are though. We're back, folks.
We're back. Yeah, look, right here. Woo, back again.
Woo.
Yes. Guys, we're answering questions. We're answering Patreon questions and super chats today. So feel free to send us super chats. We have around 11 super chats. Oh, look at this message that we just got. It's so nice here. Saying, thank you for being the voice of reason. Oh, thank you. I mean, I hope so. I hope we are the voice of reason.
We try.
We try. Yeah, we're making an effort. All right. Hey, how have you been? Long time no see.
Yeah, I know. It's been good. Just traveling, and was lucky enough to get to go to some cool places, see some cool people. So, but I'm glad to be back as well. It is nice to be back, staying at home. So.
Yeah, I miss our time. Together.
I know. I always enjoy these. We always get into such great conversations. So.
Lilypad is here. Hey, yo. And then we have Helen saying, hey, from UK. Yeah, guys, leave us a message. Let us know where you're watching from as we get started. So again, we're going to be answering Patreon questions, which are like when before we go live, we post a link to the stream, and a week, a day ahead of time, people will post their questions under the Patreon post, and then I'll answer them. We have 11 questions today, and we also answer super chat. So at any point, we just got a super chat. So yeah, if we get a super chat, we'll stop answering the Patreon questions for a little bit, and then focus on the super chat, and then we get back to the Patreon questions. And by the end of the show, if there's time left, we will post a link on the live chat for our YouTube members. YouTube members get to come live on there, and if they can talk to us if they wish so. So that's how it all works. But right now we got a super chat from the Armin agitators. If you guys don't know, the Armin agitators is a cult, officially a cult that is named after me. And they have, without my consent, they have made me turned me into a leader, which is okay, right? And I'm trying to manage this whole situation in a way that our cult is not very culty, okay? But so here, the Armin agitators just sent me. What is that currency? I don't know what that is. Is this Swedish krona? Swedish, I think so. Yeah. We got a 50 Swedish crowns, I think, from the Armin agitators, and say, Master, may I advertise your recording for 2 weeks from now? That advertisement is the upcoming agitator stream rate montage, but can be removed. What can be removed? I don't know what can be removed, but yeah, sure, yeah, go ahead. Well, you just did. You just advertised it, so we have a raid going on. I don't know if that is TOS. We should check if it's TOS, okay? Because I want to make sure that we don't do it. But yeah, please check if it's TOS, because I don't want to get in trouble for any of this. But yes, apparently I didn't. Yeah, apparently. I'm going to be doing a recording telling my cult what to do. I'm going to give them instructions, but I'm going to try to make sure that we behave properly. Okay, I'm trying to maintain this group so that we do everything that is fun, but at the same time, not very cultish. Okay.
And when was the last time you ever heard a cult leader say all of that, folks? I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like. Yes. Okay. Okay. So I think like we're supposed to raid Bill Jensen's stream, and I think it's TOS because it's supposed to be he himself knows like he has fun with this, like he acts like so it's all in good, it's all just a fun thing. Yeah.
As opposed to like stepping into like actual harassment.
Harassment, like he. So for guys to be transparent, like we act like we're harassing him, and he's acting like he's being harassed, and he acts like he's being a very Christian, offended Christian. But it's all like, if you guys don't get upset with me, this is all in good fun. But it's funny. We're gonna highlight it. So we're gonna highlight this at some point. But yeah, so that's the advertisement. Yeah. So yeah, he's an actor. He makes money. It's all good. We're not harassing a mentally unstable guy. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's good to it's good. I know it reduces the joke when you have to explain it, but I do want to explain it because we don't want to normalize harassing people.
Right.
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 So just reducing a little bit of the fun here to explain it, just so that we
Mhm.
don't normalize it. I think it's fine.
Yeah, I agree, honestly. Like, it's
Yeah,
worth
it's
it.
all just yeah. So we are a cult in the same way that the Satanic Temple is a religion.
Right.
That's the kind of cult we are.
Right.
I think that's a good. I just came up with that explanation. I think that's a good explanation.
I like it. I think it works well.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah. All right. Should we get into the question?
Let's do it. We got some good questions, I think, this week.
Yeah. Okay. So that's good. So the first one, let me see. That's from Gage American. So a couple of these are from Gage American. I think I don't need to tell you which ones are from Gage American. They just yell out.
You'll know.
Gage American question. We'll know. Okay. Okay. All right. So here's the first question. In your opinion, was the expulsion of Tennessee state representative racially motivated? Here's the thing. I think so, yes. But even if it's not, it's fair to assume that.
Are you? Yeah. So have you been following it? Do you think I could do like a quick? Because this is something that's very close for me. So
go ahead.
In the Tennessee State House, not very long ago, right after, I'm sure most of you have probably heard about the shooting that happened in Nashville at a Christian school. So right after that, there were 3 individuals that were state representatives that led a protest on the floor of the House. They were Justin Jones, Justin Pearson, and Gloria Johnson. Of those 3, the House then voted to expel both Justin Jones and Justin Pearson, but not Representative Johnson. It is worth noting that of those 3, she was the only white person. When asked specifically afterwards, did race have anything to play in it? Representative Johnson's response was, I think it's very telling that the only difference between my actions and the actions of my colleagues is the fact that they're not white. I would say that it was not the main motivation, but it is an undercurrent that definitely played a part in it, right? So it's not that they were thinking from the beginning, oh, these black guys, let's kick them out. But it was, hey, we don't like these people because they're doing something that's against our agenda and they're black. Perfect. Kick them out. Does that make sense? I think that was kind of in line with what you were saying, that it wasn't the main motivating factor, but it is an underlying factor that played a role in this as well, is what I would say.
See, here's the thing. We can never know these things for sure.
For sure.
Okay.
For sure.
But if you are a party that has a history of racism, even if this is not the case, I think given your history, it's just fair to assume that.
Yeah.
Just consider it to be likely.
It's still
fair to consider it likely.
I would say that it's fair to consider it as a likely factor. Again, I don't think it was the main motivating thing. I think the main motivating thing, if I could be just completely blunt, is that the Tennessee legislature is currently being overtaken by far-right radical Christians. That is the main motivation, is that they are actively attempting to create a theocracy in Tennessee that specifically targets people of color, LGBTQ, anybody that's slightly more liberal than they are, which is practically, most people in Tennessee honestly fall into that. But it is being taken over by a radical right-wing Christian nationalist group. And that's the main motivation. They know that if they pass any type of meaningful gun regulation, that they start to lose ground, and they don't want to do that. And so that's why they've been passing all these horrible bills and stuff lately. So
it could be because they just hate men, and they're just being man hating. Could be
that too.
They didn't kick her out because
Yeah. I
Okay,
mean, in fairness, she
no,
only
I'm
was,
kidding.
I know you are. I know you are. I know you are. I was going to say, in fairness, she was only saved by a single vote. And I tried to look up the voter roll, and I haven't been able to just find that just yet, unfortunately. But I can give you this update, which I am very proud to give, that the two members, Justin Pearson and Justin Jones, that were expelled were both unanimously voted back in by their councils. So the Metro Nashville Council, because the seat was vacant, had the right under the Tennessee Constitution to put forward a member to fill that vacancy until a special election, and they voted him back in. Love that. And then Knoxville and Shelby County also had that, and just recently voted in Justin Pearson. So those two individuals will be sworn back in and will hold their seats until a special election, which I desperately hope they will win, because I think that will be a really great message. So.
You know, now that I think about it, I think the actual reason might be not because of race. It might be because there's just much more fierce and fiery speakers, which annoys them.
They're both.
Have you seen the?
Go ahead.
Have you seen how they speak?
Like, oh yeah, both of these.
Oh my god.
Yeah, both of these guys are phenomenal. They are absolutely wonderful. I'm very, very happy that they are in our legislature, even though I know that they have an extremely uphill battle. But yeah, it's a very interesting situation. I think like the last time Tennessee did this was when some dude was accused of like RAPEing like 12 people or something, and then like before that it was like 70 years before. So, but some of the Republicans have likened individuals standing at the front of the Senate floor, the state floor. They have likened that to the January 6th insurrection. Amazing. They have literally made that. Yeah. That's how you know you are completely no longer in touch with reality. So
yeah.
But yeah.
Okay.
They're back, so hey, that's cool. I'm happy about that.
Like conservatism is a disease. I always say that. I just had to highlight this, something I don't remember saying. Why does Rarity look like he's been doing meditation in the jungle all this while?
That's actually what I've been doing. I've been you know, as all the greats, you know, Jesus went into the wilderness, Muhammad went into the wilderness. I think Buddha did this at some point, you know. So as all the great prophets before. Yeah. So ate a lot of termites.
Oh, we got another super chat by the Armin agitators, of course. Who else? Saying, oh wow, this is for you. You want to read this one?
Yeah, it says, Secular Rarity, hast thou been paying attention to the developments in the Armin Bill saga? Things have been heating up like crazy recently. Yeah, I think so. I think I'm all caught up. I saw the last time you guys talked about it on the news. I'm supposed to. I agreed a while ago to Fudge that I would record some video of me saying something. So I don't know that we settled on what I was supposed to say, but I also don't know that it matters. So I just probably should do that and send it over. So.
No, okay. Oh my god, you're doing work. Yeah, guys, don't make Rarity. He's already. Please don't make Secular Rarity do extra work. We're already getting so much of his free time just coming here. Please don't add to his list of things he has to do because of our Atheist Republic. Thank you. Okay. Oh my god. I can't keep up, guys. Don't do give everything. Give it to me. Don't give it to Secular Rarity. Okay. All right. Wait, I already read
that one.
Remove this. Yes. Okay, there we go. This one. If I converted to the Quran into binary, what does that mean? If I converted
like ones and zeros.
Binary. Oh, the translated. I mean, it's already binary once it's on a computer. Then translated that binary into DNA sequences and then put them into the genomes of trees. Would that help prevent deforestation in Indonesia? Well, it wouldn't even be a tree anymore. Yeah, it would stop being a tree. It would just not function. It would not even be a living thing.
I think you'd probably have better luck by just like stapling individual Quran pages to trees, right? Because then it'd be like, oh no, what do we do? Like we have to tear down the Quran, you know, to even start cutting this tree. So, but I also don't know that that would be super effective. Yeah.
So I don't know how would you try change binary in it with DNA code? Would you change every 4? Would you change every? I don't know how do you
That
do
would
that.
that would definitely be the most difficult part of this. Is getting that binary into the DNA.
It wouldn't.
Yeah.
Any DNA that is just random code would not work in a ribosome. Like it would not create any form of change of amino acids that would. I'm taking this way too seriously, by the way. So I'm just like I'm just letting you know that the DNA code, if it's translated to RNA and the RNA is translated to amino acid change, that amino acids would not do anything that could in a cell that could function properly. So it would just not be a living thing.
Yeah. They have done some really interesting stuff. I mean, I don't, know a bunch about it just because I'm not a biologist and stuff, but like they have done some stuff with like information and computer code in DNA or something. I do remember reading something about this, but I genuinely don't know how feasible it would be, and I don't know that they would care as much. Yeah. I think
it's feasible to make a DNA it's feasible to make a DNA chain out of all of this, right? But the thing is that the amino acid change that comes out of it is just not going to do anything.
Right. The trees would all probably die after a while. I would imagine.
It would just be a random amino acid in the cell that just does nothing. It would just be floating there.
Ooh, what if we accidentally create like just like a totally new type of life, we just like this thing just sits in there, and the next thing you know, 40 million years later, it's grown into all kinds of crazy stuff because of this. Like, it'd be pretty interesting.
Ooh.
Yeah.
You know what? You could make a movie out of this that you just leave messages in living beings' DNA, like chains of like amino acid that doesn't do anything. But like, for example, I have a message for you. I'm like, what is it? And like, it's in certain frogs in Amazon, and it's like a puzzle they have to solve. You just have to go extract their cell, and it's just like, That's
like a scavenger hunt on extreme steroids. We need you to find this exact protein chain in a frog in Amazon.
And then decode it into English. Decode that message in the DNA into English. And you could like somebody who had died, like they could have left this message, I don't know, 50 years ago, and then their message is hidden in the DNA of a specific animal.
That's what I'm gonna do for my death. I'm gonna start right now, and all my loved ones, I'm gonna write out these long messages, translate it into binary, then into DNA, and just like shove it into random living things around the world.
Yeah. We get amazing questions, guy. Like, do you see questions like this on any other show?
I don't really, and it's nice. No. It's nice to get some stuff like this, because I don't always want to talk about God.
Wait, I think we're not being very original. Lilypad is saying that's the plot for Star Trek string of episodes.
Well, there you go. It's already been done.
Yeah, okay. It's already been done. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't know, which shows how good I am at.
That's okay. You'll still probably hear from their lawyers, and you'll have to pay a little bit of like a copyright infringement. I'm just kidding.
Wow, I'm impressed. I thought I was just coming up with a stupid idea, but apparently it was good enough to make it into a show.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, call if any agents want to call me for any ideas for TV series or anything like that.
They make a new Star Trek like every 5 to 8 years anyway, right? So it's like, there's bound to be some more room.
I have a lot of ideas if you guys want. Oh, by the way, Austin Ford just donated a membership gifted to the Atheist Damon.
Woo.
Thank you. Woo. Wow, you got a free membership, Atheist Damon. Thank you for the gift. All right. So, what is this one? What is this?
Fascist is the way I pronounce it. I don't know if that's correct.
The fascist bundles of sticks and axe is the normal symbol of Italian fascism and the United States. Okay, should the United States replace the symbol as we had replaced what is this?
Bellamy.
The Bellamy salute, now called, what is
You know
this? I
the
don't
you know
understand.
the Yahtzee salute. We
Is
used
that
to
what
do
it's
that in
called?
the United States. Yeah. That actually used to be a
Oh,
standard thing around the world, actually. Weird. I know. This one is also weird, and here's why it's weird. So, I mean, if you could, I think there were a couple of links that Gaijin posted with this. And it's really weird for a lot of different reasons, I think. And one reason it's weird is because it is actually found everywhere in the United States capital, basically. Like, it's everywhere. The reason that it's everywhere, though, is because obviously in 1776, we hadn't had World War II yet. So that symbol is actually a symbol dating back to the Roman Senate, right? And that symbol was used in the Roman Senate and was often associated with the things of like republicanism and democracy and all that good stuff. And so that's why we use it a bunch in the history of the United States. It was eventually adopted by the Italians under Mussolini and so forth, right? So they did eventually adopt it. And I believe this is where the name fascism actually comes from, right? But
well, this is the symbol.
uh-huh.
I have it on the screen.
Yeah.
So this is a fascist symbol that is in the United States Senate.
It's not. It's a symbol that fascists used and co-opted, and it is definitely all over the United States Senate. But the original, the symbol, because this stuff obviously in the United States wasn't created after 1940, right? So this stuff was created way back in, the late 1700s, early 1800s, right? So it would be a very, very long time before Mussolini would come up and with his organization co-opt this symbol from the Roman Senate. But yeah, it has been used by fascists a lot.
What is it supposed to represent? Why there's an axe inside a bundle of sticks?
I think it's supposed to. I think it's about like the general, like, what's that like? One were weak, many were strong. So that's like the bundle of sticks, and then like the axe is supposed to be like power and stuff. It was often used to
wait. That was in the Planet of the Apes. Is that also?
Oh, no.
It's also fascist. Apes strong together. Remember?
Oh, yeah. I think that's just a standard sentiment that's been thrown out. It's like, have you heard about the neo Yahtzee groups that use the OK symbol, as like a calling card? Well, okay, well that's not that doesn't mean that somebody back in the 80s we see a video of somebody going, "Hey man, everything's okay." That doesn't mean that they're making a reference to that, right? It was well before. It was well before it became.
Maybe, I don't know. Maybe they were just hiding in plain sight.
They were even more underground. Yeah.
All right.
No, but it is really weird. And then the only thing I would say on the end of it is just if we actually went through trying to replace it, it would take a lot. And I mean that because the amount of times that symbol is throughout the United States, like Capitol and Senate, is surprising. Like, it is everywhere.
Really?
Yes, it is. Again, though, we're talking about something that did technically happen, like, almost 200 full years before, it would eventually become the fascist symbol. But I mean,
how do you know all these things? You know so much about these things.
I have a lot of really worthless knowledge. It isn't valuable in any other aspect of my life. There's no other time that I can. Yeah. So, and it's like, it's not enough knowledge to like do good at Jeopardy, but it's enough knowledge to just annoy all my friends. So, I mean,
or be on a Q&A.
I guess. Yeah.
You're just perfect for this. Yeah.
That's right.
Austin is enjoying it. Austin Ford is saying, "I like Roman history lessons." Okay.
Nice. Well, good.
Okay.
We'll start a new
Just do
segment.
a map. We have a Mao question saying Mao gave the last emperor Puyi a pardon and gave him a, what is this? I don't even know how to read this.
A voting card. It's a quotation mark. I don't know why it's coming up
quotation.
like that, but yeah, voting card.
Okay, a voting card. Well, it's the French. What is that? Bourbons were executed. The French now chant they will do it again to Macron for raising the retirement age from 62 to 64. Wow, the French over 2 years. The French really be getting angry over 2 years. What do you think the French people can learn from Mao? You know, one thing. I think I'm gonna get a lot of heat from this, but I mean, when the retirement age was at 62, was it like they didn't expect people to live this long?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, I mean, am I being anti people's rights when I say like, well, maybe your country's budget can't afford something? You guys be living a lot longer, and you can't. It's just the government can't just keep paying for all that all the time.
I think if I hadn't heard you regularly speak on a lot of different topics, I would probably be like, well, maybe that's a little crass. But in general, no, I do think it's reasonable that we adjust these types of things. Just like, honestly, and this is another, controversial thing for a lot of people, but I suggest that we adjust the way we think about childhood. Like the fact that 18 is the point at which you're a freaking complete and total legal adult doesn't really make as much sense today, especially if we're regularly living into the 80s. Like, we have more time to actually go through childhood development, and we know a lot about brain function now, and we know that it's not until mid to late 20s really where a lot of this stuff really formalizes. So yeah, I don't think it's unreasonable to say we need to think about raising the retirement age. I would say, and again, this is, I know you have said a lot of things like this in the past. The only way we could do that effectively is if we actually have enough social programs in place to actually help take care of people, So like if we don't have cost of living adjustments and stuff that actually people can work into their late 60s or early 70s and actually afford to live, well then, that's just going to probably screw a lot of people.
Yeah, I think the main thing that people should be pushing for is a UBI right now. Given with the AI stuff coming and taking over, we don't know what's going to happen with AI, but I think we're not prepared, and the governments are not doing enough to handle that situation.
Yeah.
And I think UBI is becoming more important than ever.
And I think that I think if we do something like that is such a radical shift, I think that would change a lot of these conversations, right? Because the retirement age at that point would kind of be, it wouldn't make as much sense, right?
Yeah.
But maybe there is a more of like an end of life age where we're like, hey, you're most likely in the last 10 to 15 years of your life, so here's a little bit of something so that you don't just die cold and hungry in your own house. Like,
I like to imagine the French government thinking like, why don't you all just die? You just die. Like, I'm not. Oh, wait, that's a joke? YouTube? I'm not actually suggesting.
We're not.
Yeah, that's a joke. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
But like, yes, I think a lot of governments think that. I think because that's like the time that people are like taking government resources and not contributing much back, and people like the government is like, just go away. So,
But I would argue that the way to fix that is not at the end, but at the beginning, by actually giving adequate healthcare and education to all citizens from the beginning. They will be better contributors to society, and the burden by the end of life will be less. I mean, I fully believe that. So.
I have actually a very good solution in the live chat as well. Somebody saying, the retirement age, just make it 69. 69. Okay. This is the exact type of content. Great solutions, guys. This is amazing. All right. Okay. Okay. Next question. Grindr CEO was forced to sell to a U.S. company. Wait, where was it from? This company then sold the data to Catholics seeking to out their gay priests. Wait, is this real? In your opinion, was this sale between oligarchs and net good?
This is a very interesting story. I'll be honest.
Really?
This is a very interesting story.
Catholic group spent millions. I know about this. Yeah, actually, we covered this on Atheist Republic, but I didn't know Grindr was sold. So Catholic groups spent millions on data tracking gay priests. Washington Post reports. Wait, was it? I forgot about this. The detail was Grindr was sold. Like Grindr is now owned by Catholic groups. Is that what's really happened?
I believe so. I believe that's so I remember I hadn't heard this update, but the update I had heard was like a month or so ago. That was something about the CEO of Grindr saying like they were getting ready to, possibly have to sell to stay afloat. And then there was a discussion about potentially like leaking information relating to, Republican legislators and all over the country and stuff. That was the last thing I had heard. And so this was the most recent update. And when I was looking into this a little bit further just before we got on the show, it actually seems a little bit more not super great. Like, so it at first I was kind of in this boat of saying like, hey, maybe what this is this is going to like try to highlight hypocrisy by calling people out and trying to hold them accountable, or maybe like this is going to be maybe something that, by highlighting the diversity of Catholic priests, maybe that would chill some people out with some of the rhetoric and hatred. But it actually seems to be more in the vein of like actively trying to cover up the information so that the public doesn't know about it, which doesn't sound good. So
no, wait, Asian American is saying no in the live chat. I think here. No, saying like no, and then here's the thing. Grindr was sold to American oligarchs, and then this third party sold data to Catholic priests. That's the detail.
Okay, so
the Catholic priests did not buy the company or anything like that. Oh, now I get it.
Yeah.
So they just use a third party app,
right? And
buy the data. Yeah.
It was a third party organization that the funds to purchase the information from this third party was raised and stuff for the Catholic Church is what it looks like. But okay, so he's saying Gajan is saying Grindr CEO was Chinese and America forced him to sell. So, I mean, because that's been something that's recently been going around with they might ban TikTok. They won't ban TikTok. They're going to ban TikTok. I don't know. It's at this point, it's like, come on, but yeah, it doesn't, this at first when I was reading this, it seemed more positive. And then as I continued reading it, I kind of got a little bummed because it seemed more in the vein of like, they were buying this information to like, push it under the rug and try and, be mean and shitty to people. Not so much
should people get off Grindr? Like, should they just leave that app? Like, what do you think?
You're kind of at risk anywhere, right? There's not really. Ashley Madison got hacked years ago. And it's a big site specifically. I mean, like their tagline is like for married people trying to cheat or something. So it's not just like a dating website. Like it's specifically like, be a bad person basically. But even all the other sites have had leaks like this. There've been hacks, there's data, there's so much information. And so, I mean, I don't know, maybe this is a really bold stance, but I don't know, maybe try your best not to be like super hypocritical. I mean, I'm not saying I'm perfect, but I'm saying like maybe, I don't want all my data released or anything, but if people read through my emails, you wouldn't see a lot of like pro Yahtzee stuff or like anti-LGBTQ stuff, because surprise, surprise, I just don't agree with that stuff. So it's like,
Right.
if you're out there in front of the pulpit saying, don't be gay and be celibate, and then you're out on Grindr and you're doing that, I would say that's...
Well, if I was gonna put my religious hat on, I
Yes,
would be
please.
like, yes, I would be like, listen, we all sin, okay? And
Sure.
just because I sin, that doesn't mean I shouldn't encourage other people not to sin.
I would agree, but I would argue that the Lord and Savior, our J of C himself, asked us to pull the stick out of our own eye, or pull the log out of our own eye before we talk about the splinter in someone else's, right?
For some reason, I assume you're gonna say out of somewhere else.
No.
But,
No. That's the X-rated
is that in the Bible?
That's the X-rated version. No. But yeah,
Imagine if there was a Bible verse.
Yeah.
Pull that up, Jesus, just pull the stick out of your own ass before you.
You've been a real dick lately, Mark. Like, chill out, man. Pull the stick. But yeah, I mean, I would, again, when I first looked into that, it seemed a little bit better. And then it started to seem more and more shady and stuff. So I'd love to see if there's any update on that or anything. But yeah, it kind of seemed like it was purchased as a cover up. So
yeah. Oh, but also for is first of all, no. Before I highlight the super chat, also for saying I assumed that too, and I knew that scripture.
It is better that way. It is better that way.
Yeah. And this is also for his first super chat to us. Now, did you know that YouTube now shows you that if somebody's is a way to encourage people to get into super chats? I don't know if it says celebrate the first super chat from Austin Ford. I don't know if this means like it's the first super chat ever or first super chat on our channel.
We'll take
but
it
either
as
way
both.
now.
Yeah.
Yes. So guys, this is now a thing. Now if anybody is using the super chat for the first time, YouTube shows that this is the first time. This is nice. So Austin is saying you guys are covering some great topics right now. I don't know if that's a serious.
I know, honestly, it could go either way. Again, I'm just going to take it in stride. I'm going to take it in stride. I'm going to assume that Austin is being 100% genuine, actually feels this way. But honestly, yeah, don't know.
It could be.
It really could. So,
yeah. But all right. So here's the next question. Oh yeah. Can I show this? This was
I
weird.
think you should. I think you should probably show it. Yeah.
Okay. Thoughts on Dalai Lama asking a child to kiss his tongue. How you think the PRC is going to weaponize this incident as the right to manifest their destiny over Tibet? So let me get the picture. I mean, let me see if
it's a very strange story. I read this story like a couple of days ago, and it's very, very strange. It's very odd. In total, I think. It doesn't. This is the weird part, and it's probably gonna sound terrible me even saying this. Like, it doesn't seem like it was. It didn't seem to me like he was purposefully trying to like hurt the child, or like take advantage or anything. But it did also. It's very weird, and I definitely would say this is not something that should ever happen. This is not okay. But yeah, again, it doesn't, because he's playing with him and he's being kind of playful and stuff. But
come on, just show us.
Yeah, show us
the apology. Wait, it's not showing it. I think it's not showing the. It's kind of creepy. The whole thing it is a bit creepy.
Yeah, it is, and that's what I'm saying.
Too much touchy.
Yeah, it is, and it's a very, yeah, it's just very odd. I mean, yeah, at this point, the Dalai Lama is like how old? Like
Yeah.
he's a very old fellow.
Oh, here.
But oh yeah.
Okay, this is the actual part.
Yeah, it's a very
Ew.
weird moment. And the fact that he actually like went through with it and stuff is very weird and uncomfortable and wrong. I just like yeah, it's very strange.
So
The whole
what
incident.
is this? Did they kiss my tongue?
Yes.
Who does that?
That's
I
what
don't
I'm
think
saying.
people do that in
No,
people don't do that in Tibet, because some
No.
people were trying to like stop it. This is a cultural thing.
No, it
because
isn't.
people.
No,
It's not a cultural thing. It's
no,
like
it
I
isn't.
think it's weird.
No, it isn't.
Yeah.
I think one of the first people I had read, like somebody commenting on this was like a Tibetan, like cultural historian or something. He's like, no, this is not common practice. This is not common practice. This is not something that. No, it's a very awkward and uncomfortable exchange. It's not a good thing, honestly. I'm glad that he apologized. I hope that it never happens again. I just like
that. I mean, I don't know. I think like
don't know.
even like how out of touch he is to not know that this is like in front of all the cameras
Yeah.
and stuff like this. How
Yeah.
how can he not tell that this
It's
is
very
just
weird.
like wrong?
And he said a
Yeah.
couple of other things too in the past, and there have been a couple of other odd incidents in the past where, you know, just always trying to do the best I can to be as charitable, right, in the situation, you know, to try to see the best light of you know what the opposition is saying or doing. But even still, like I said, there are some stuff that he said in the past that's very weird and uncomfortable and kind of gives me the impression he just definitely isn't like socialized super well with people. And yeah,
somebody's yeah.
Go ahead.
Somebody's pointing out that even if it were some cultural thing, it wouldn't be okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
right,
yeah, for sure.
That's
Totally with that. Like again, this is. Go ahead.
Are they sorry? Are they celibate? Is it are they supposed to be celibate? Because that would be
I genuinely don't know that. I'm not positive. Yeah, I'm not sure. I think
Buddhist monks celibate. I think they are celibate.
Oh.
In fact, the Buddha. Wait, hold on. Are Buddhist monks required to be celibate? Oh my god, this is why we need ChatGPT. Just give me a yes or no answer. Oh my god, seriously, I'm gonna ask ChatGPT instead of Google. God damn it! Just give me a simple answer. This is why search engines are such a big. All right, let's ask ChatGPT. In many Buddhist traditions, monks are required to observe celibacy. Okay, that's good. That's good. I need to know. What about the Dalai Lama? The Dalai Lama, okay, is expected to adhere to. Yep. So the Dalai Lama is supposed to be celibate. So that's a huge red flag, okay? Because celibacy makes your brain do all sorts of weird stuff. So if somebody is supposed to be celibate, I would say hide your kids, and this would make the fact that he's supposed to be celibate. This makes this whole thing a lot more weird to me.
Yeah,
a lot more
see that.
weird.
I can see that.
Yeah.
Again, I'm definitely not a, you know, an apologist for this. Definitely not trying to like, you know, be on his side or anything for these actions. I'm not in support of them. I think it was probably less malicious than some people are making it seem, and I would say probably less malicious than what the CCP will frame the narrative as. But it's still not okay. And it still should be something that everybody pretty resoundingly comes out and condemns and says, hey, don't do this. Don't.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, even if you have like psychological issues, you know, the fact that you can't, you could go deal with that privately, but the fact that this is what he's doing in front of cameras, in front of all these people, just shows that he's just so out of touch, and he just can't see why what he's doing is so wrong. You know what I mean?
I think that's a huge part of it. I think.
Yeah. And if he can't tell this is wrong, then he might do other things that he can't tell that if it's right. And somebody is pointing out this thing. I don't want to imagine what he'd do off camera. Yeah, if this is what he's doing.
I don't know if the thing Asian American just said is accurate, but can you
wait? What did you say?
Just in the live chat.
Why is it showing? Oh.
I don't know if this is true. Oh. I don't know. I wow. Was it in front of people or was it in private? Because in one instance I have a problem, and in the other instance I'm like, okay, man, do you, you know, like, but I don't know. Okay. In an airport bathroom is what it says. I think it's probably reasonable for us as a society worldwide for us to just not have these types of people that are so venerated and so, you know, secluded from society and just essentially given passes on whatever they do. I think that's probably something we should all not be big fans of anymore, you know, because it does just lead to a lot of weird stuff like this. You know, even if it was all well-intentioned and good fun and there's no other, you know, gross stuff happening, even if that's the case, I think we could get rid of these moments by just not having these types of people anymore. And I mean that in the sense of like not venerating these people and putting them in such, you know,
yeah. You're not talking about just, you know,
right? No, not talking about that at all. No, not in the slightest.
I'm glad we have to clarify that.
Yeah, I know it's stupid, but it's worth it.
By the way, the second part of the question is like, I like you saying, I like how we can imagine like China is like, okay, that's why we have to take over, guys. This is it.
Absolutely.
This is like, we're gonna.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're gonna, like,
yeah, they've been you know, positioning themselves like that for a long time now, and they'll use every little thing that they can to freaking, you know, discredit the next Dalai Lama.
Right.
I mean, you know, I don't know.
I just got a Persian chat saying, my friend, you know, say, so no, I can't say my friend twice. He's telling me that my friend, meaning you, looks like Jesus. So, I don't know.
You are blessed, my child. You are blessed. I'll be sending you crackers and grape juice before too long. So,
yeah. Okay, good. All right. So, next question. Dharmic religions call their communities sanghas, which is covens. What should atheist communities call themselves?
I like those. This is a good question. It's like, you know, there's all these weird names out there for groups of different animals. Like in English, you call a group of crows a murder. I have no idea why that's the case. It's very, very silly. But then, you know, like herd and pride, and what's the one with gorillas? It's a weird, it's like a congress of gorillas or something. It's very, very silly. I don't know why we've chosen these. Let's just call them all groups. Like a group of birds is a group of birds.
Let me get some suggestions from ChatGPT.
Yeah.
Okay, I know. It says there isn't a universally agreed upon term for atheist communities, as atheism doesn't have a specific set of beliefs or rituals. Oh, wow. Good. That's a pretty good answer, ChatGPT. However, you could use the term like secular groups. No, that's not fun. Yeah. Humanist communities. No, that's not fun. Free thought societies or skeptical. Make it more fun.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell it to make it more fun.
Spice up your answer.
To give atheist communities a more fun and engaging name, you could consider using terms like rational revelers, free-thinking fellowship, skeptics, so I don't know this word, heathen haven, or spelling is Soiree.
Soiree. It's a French term that the English pronounce incorrectly. Yeah.
Skeptics soiree. Okay. Atheist assemblage. Okay. Atheist assemblage. Okay. These names incorporate the sense of. Okay. Well, let me actually see. Make it one word.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's see what it could give us in one word.
Make it one word.
I like this idea, though.
Single word name. Yeah. Reasoners.
Ooh.
Reasoners. Less cringe. I'm gonna tell. Does
Less
AI understand
cringe.
cringe?
Less cringe. Doesn't understand.
Made it more cringe. Like, for less cringeworthy single word name for atheist community, consider thinkers. That's more. You made it more cringe.
Hey, sorry, ChatGPT. Let me explain to you what cringe is.
I'm gonna say you made it. Apologies for that. How about the term inquirers? Focus on the lack of belief.
Yeah. A group. What would you call a group of us?
Focus on the lack of belief, because for a single word name focused on the lack of belief, you could consider non-believers.
Yeah. I mean, that's
not fun.
no,
That's
it's
not
not.
fun.
It's not like a catchy, fun, like, hang on,
How
let me
about atheist liberation? Atheist liberation.
see. Atheist
Like
liberationist?
is combining his. It's saying she is it a she? She's saying combine the word atheist and celebration and call it atheist liberation.
Interesting. Okay,
Creating a unique playful name for community that embraces the lack of belief while enjoying, I don't know this word, camaraderie. What is that word?
Camaraderie.
Camaraderie.
Like
and
friendship
shared experience.
Yeah.
Okay, atheist guys, what do you guys think? Atheist liberation?
Let me list off one or two of these because they are really great if my computer wants to work with me. So there is a shrewdness of apes. That's the term for it. Don't know why. A congregation of alligators, a cauldron of bats, a sleuth of bears, an obstinacy of buffalo. Why are these the terms? Like, why would we an army of caterpillars? If there are more than like 2 caterpillars together, that is an army of caterpillars, apparently. That's so ridiculous. Why would we choose these group names? I don't get it.
Here's some other idea. Secular Lounge. Secular Lounge, is that good?
Secular Lounge.
Celestial Society, Humanist Hangout. That's lame. Null Divinity Nexus. Null Divinity Nexus. Okay. All right. I don't know. Atheist liberation. Maybe something. Okay. Let me know, guys, if you have any ideas yourself. Cackle of hyenas. Bloat of hippos.
Yeah, just other fun.
Oh, Lilypad has an idea. Hold on, let me see. Let's read this. What is this? How do you read this?
Oh yeah, this is tough. A skepticity? A skepticity of atheists? I like
this. Actually, this is the best one.
I like this.
I think
skepticity.
Guys, this is great. Actually, this is why humans are still better than AI. Skeptics. Yeah, this is good. This is really catchy. This is like unique. Makes people like, what did you just say? Right? And makes, gets people talking. Skeptics.
So again, just remember that the word is designed to talk about a group of atheists. So the amount of times one would be able to use this in casual conversation would be very limited. You'd have to know the other people, know that they're atheists, and be like, oh my gosh, that's enough people standing over there that are atheists that we now have a skepticity. Like, look, guys,
let's make it a thing. Let's get people to use it, guys. And it's beautiful. I still can't say it. You have managed to say it a couple of times.
I don't know if what I'm saying is correct. I'm just assuming that's how it's pronounced. So
I think the fact that it's
criticism.
Yeah, go on.
Skepticity.
Skepticity. I think the fact that it's hard to say makes it more enjoyable because people could like.
They'll say it's more fun to say. Yeah.
Yeah, it's more fun to say. Oh my god, I can't.
Skepticity.
Okay, we're gonna make this a thing. Make it, guys. Please make it.
T-shirts.
Yeah, people saying I like it. Yeah,
there you go,
guys. Yeah. We should like use it so much. We could get it
Get a
into
new
the
word.
Urban Dictionary. Get it into the Urban Dictionary, and then keep it going until we make it into Wikipedia and dictionaries and everywhere. Okay, guys,
do
let's
it.
make this it. I think this is a good. Actually, this is a good idea in normalizing atheism, because it's a fun way to talk about atheism.
Yeah, because it's a silly,
yeah.
it's kind of a silly thing that is close enough to this topic that you can highlight the topic, but at the same time it's something where it's not just like in your face, like screw you, we're atheists, suck it. Like it's
And it's not
more fun.
anywhere used. Yeah, this is something that has not been
Yeah,
used anywhere as well.
Yeah, I think Lilybad just made it up on the spot.
Skipped. Yeah, here. Guys, I'm serious. Like, I'm not like, I know this is fun, but I'm actually serious about how useful this could be into getting more people talking about atheism. People like, did you know that a group of atheists is called a skepticity? And people are like, what, really? Like, yeah, that's the thing. And it's get people talking about atheism, right?
Hey, man, look at that skepticity over there. Like, man, dude, I don't know what you were up to last night, but me and the whole skepticity, we were partying. Oh my God.
I love it. And also, you know what? You say that's how rare that is, but now people would want to make that happen so that they could call it a skepticity, okay? And because to be able to make the word more usable, atheists will get together more often. Yeah,
just so we could.
So it has that. Just so that we could use the word.
The first time. Sorry, hang on. The first time I see an atheist convention use the word, like the largest skepticity in the Southeast or something, I am just gonna freaking lose it. Like, I am gonna freaking lose it.
Guys, we're gonna make this a thing. We're gonna 5 years from now, somebody is gonna use that seriously as if it's gonna be in the news or something. Lilybad is saying this makes me so happy. Yeah, me too.
It was great. It was a great suggestion. Good, I think we run with it. Yeah, I like this. See, this is why you watch the Q&As, folks. Is because this is what we do. We do things like this, So like the video if you haven't. But.
Yeah, and by the way, to our editor, okay, put the word into the title as well, so that if somebody searches for it, this video comes up as the moment that we made history.
I love it. I genuinely love it. Oh man. All right.
Okay. All right. We have a $5 super chat from Mustafa. Thank you. By the way, guys, we don't just answer Patreon questions, we also answer super chats. So if you have any questions or any comments, please use the super chat option. Mustafa with the $5 super chat is saying, do you believe the Prophet Muhammad was illiterate? I mean, I don't know. We don't know. Well, let me see. I find it hard to believe, especially because he was a merchant who had to keep records and receipts. Here's the thing. The whole story most of the story is made up. Okay, most of the story about Muhammad is made up. What seems to be the case is just like Jesus, there was a guy. Okay, but that's all we know. We know that there was so the fact all these details is made up during the Umayyad and Abbasid dynasty, more than 100 years and sometimes 200 years after. These were just stories that people added to the guy. The fact is that the guy, whoever did this, it's probably his name was probably not Muhammad. Okay, and he didn't even claim to be a prophet. Not only nothing was revealed to him, this was a guy that just united the Arabs and the Jews. This is a part of history that has been to take over, to attack the surrounding areas. Kind of like a Genghis Khan, like he united the Mongolian tribes to make a unified army. The earliest thing we know about the guy that his name was eventually turned to Muhammad was that he actually was what we today call a Zionist,
That's
because
interesting.
the first
Oh.
actually the historical letters that we have about his belief, which predates all the Islamic narratives about his beliefs, is him claiming that Jerusalem belongs to the Jews and he can
Wow.
help them get that back.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think there would
Yeah.
probably be, surprisingly enough, some very hardcore Islamists these days that would disagree with their prophet on that. That's very interesting.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. And the actual reality is so far away from the Islamic narrative because the word Muhammad itself was not a name at all. It was an adjective, and which means the praised one or praise be, right? And it wasn't even an adjective referring to the guy that eventually turned into the prophet of Muslims. It was referring to Jesus.
Right.
Muhammad was referring to Jesus. And so Muhammad Rasulullah, which a lot of people think means Muhammad was the prophet of God, actually meant praise be upon the prophet of God, meaning praise be upon Jesus. Muhammad Rasulullah means praise be upon Jesus. So that's the thing.
It's kind of like it's similar to like the Christ in the sense that like obviously his name was not Jesus Christ. He was called the Christ. It was a title just like Tsar or Caesar, right? Like Julius's and Augustus's last name was not Caesar, but we use that as the title so that we show, you know, an honorific of some kind. From my understanding, it was Muhammad's first wife, though, that was the merchant and the Khadija, right? Was the one that was like really good at business.
So actually, if you want to make sense of the Islamic narrative, okay, like just like try to be charitable to the story, okay. So Muhammad used to be, you used to not be a merchant, okay.
Right.
He used to just like what does he do? Herd cows, or no, not cows,
Goats.
Goats, yeah, or sheep. I don't know if it's goats or sheep, whatever. But that's what he used to do. Yeah. But then this rich lady decides to employ him and give him a job to go on trips, because he didn't know how to read and write, but he was famous for being honest, very honest, right? So he gave him some money, and Khadija, Muhammad's eventual wife, she had a slave who accompanied Muhammad on the trade, and when they came back, Khadija just, like, I don't know, doubled or tripled or quadrupled her money, and she was very impressed, with his honesty. And the slave also told Khadija, this guy is really good. So Khadija was like, okay, I'm gonna marry him. I don't know why, because maybe I should think like a marriage contract would have been, maybe she was like really liked him or something, but some people are saying, like, anyways, that doesn't matter. But anyways, so it wasn't because he could read or write that she employed him. It was because the level of honesty, right? So I mean, I'm guessing the people who had to record and receipts and stuff were other people that Khadija sent with them, but Muhammad was just employed as to be her agent in trading, because of the level of honesty he had.
And one could count, right, but not be literate, right? One could count and be able to record counting without being able to necessarily read or write, you know?
Yeah. I mean, these are single trays. Like, how much do you need to remember? Like, I guess, like, the main guy that is, like, if who's, like, keeping track of all the trays, she needs to, like, be able to write things down, or right, and keep track of somebody. But somebody that you're sending on a mission, like am I don't know, like a 2-month mission.
Yeah.
How much do you need to, like, it's one trade, like how much do you need to remember?
Like, take all the stuff that I give you now and sell it for all these things when you get there, and just make sure that you actually get the things and drop this shit off, you know? I mean,
yeah. I mean, and you don't need to have to be able to read and write to know, like, I got this much money in my hand. Like, I guess,
there's sheep with me. I need to trade both of them for fabrics. Like, God, no writing involved. But I mean,
also,
Oh no, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was just going to say, I know that a lot of the Dawagandists and stuff really highlight he was illiterate. How could he know all of this? How could this be recorded? How could he have such great knowledge? But yeah, I don't know that.
Yeah. I mean, there was people were supposed to the Arabs back then, they recited poetry. There were very few people who knew how to read and write. But there were a lot of people who had memorized a lot of poetry without knowing how to read and write, right? So memorization and the oral tradition was supposed to have been a big, big thing, right? Yeah. So the whole revelation, people were like, how could you remember the Quran if you didn't know how to read and write? Well, like back then, it was the culture for people to remember things without knowing how to read and write. Yeah,
they didn't have Chat GPT and flat screen televisions and stuff. They had to find other fun things to do, like kicking rocks or memorizing long strings of poetry from 100 years ago. So that was the fun times. So
there's a part of the story of Muhammad, by the way, again, all of this is made up. Well, not all of it, but most of it is probably made up, right? That at the end, when the Qurayshis are making a treaty with Muhammad, as a peace treaty, right? The Qurayshi are like his enemies, right? At some point, Muhammad is becoming so powerful that they're supposed to just, okay, let's have peace and all. And in the peace contract that they're signing, the guy, they're supposed to write Muhammad Rasulullah, Muhammad the Prophet of God, but the guy that represents the Qurayshi side is like, well, I don't recognize you as a Prophet of Allah. You have to sign it as Muhammad ibn Abdullah, Muhammad the son of Abdullah, right? Muhammad is fine, and Ali is actually the person who's writing this, right? Because Muhammad doesn't know how to read and write, and Muhammad tells Ali to cross off Rasulullah and write Ibn Abdullah, and Ali is like, I'm not going to cross out. Like, Ali refuses the order of Muhammad. He's like, I'm not going to cross out Allah's name, right? And Muhammad is like, give me the pen, and show me where it says Rasulullah. And Ali shows him on the paper where it says Rasulullah, and Muhammad crosses it off.
This is a real story. This is a serious story that's like told. Like, it's like, it's such a silly, ridiculous, like, imagine telling somebody a story where it's something along the lines of like, so there were all these people in a house, and then one guy says, hey, we should light the house on fire. So they do it. And then they're like, oh no, now what do we do? And then that same guy that said we should light the house on fire is like, well, let's just walk outside. And then everybody walked outside. It's like, that story is stupid and pointless. There's no issue. There's no issue here other than it's this imaginary made up scenario where this guy is sitting there supposedly looking at the mouthpiece for the all-powerful deity that he worships, and that mouthpiece is saying, cross out the God's name. So it's just, you see what I'm saying? You see why this is so ridiculous to me? It's just it's so, the Christians have that stuff too, though. Don't get me wrong. They have all kinds of really stupid stories about.
Wait, no, it's supposed to be heartwarming story. They're supposed to make you like, oh my God, look.
What?
It's supposed to be like,
what's the moral of this? Like, as a prophet, you can cross out God's name?
Yeah, I mean, that Ali respects the name of Allah. He was so much.
Faithful. He was so faithful to God that he
just
disobeyed. He disobeyed God's final messenger, the perfect person.
Actually, this is, as Muslims would love this, because like, oh, see, this is what you don't understand. You people with the Christian mindset, you see Jesus as somebody that has to be obeyed because you worship a God, all right? But we as Muslims, Muhammad, they like highlight, see, you don't get this. We worship God and God alone. Muhammad was nothing but a
Interesting.
messenger. He was a human
Interesting.
being. You
Yeah.
think that we worship him, but we don't
Okay.
worship him. We only follow the commands of Allah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's why
Yeah.
everybody's getting so upset about the Muhammad pictures, right? Because he's not that big
Right.
of a deal. Because he's not important. We don't worship. We don't put him on the same pedestal. That's why. We're not just constantly committing shirk every day of our lives. That's why. Yeah. Okay. I got you. I'm with it, though. No, I'm with it, though. I'm following along now.
Oh, my God. That's a good response. I like it. That's a good comeback. That's a really good comeback. I'm impressed.
I'm sorry, but the way I see it, I mean, you got to admit, at least the word of Allah is on the same page, because the Quran is supposed to be like eternal, right? Like the word is supposed to be eternal up in the heavens with Allah. And it was just that he finally gave it to Muhammad. So like Allah was uncreated, just like the Quran was uncreated. Doesn't that sound like they're on the same?
Yeah, that's pretty shirky,
right?
You sound like a Mutazilite to me right now. Yeah, that sounds pretty shirky. You're right.
Alhamdulillah.
All right, that's good. I'm impressed. It's very good.
Thank you.
All right. Here's the next question. The PRC uses social credit score and psychological public shaming. Singapore uses caning. Is that?
Yeah, like hitting somebody with a cane.
With a cane, yeah. Because it writes like canning.
I think it's supposed to be one in. I do think it's supposed to be one in. I think this technically says canning, as in like putting something into a tin can. So that would be an interesting way.
They can't do that. That's pretty intense. Imagine if they did that. The U.S. uses classist fines. In your opinion, what's a more efficient way in maintaining public order? I mean, I don't think it's fair to put caning next to fines. Yeah, one of these two sounds.
One of these civil. Seems. Yeah, one out of the three that are kind of being mentioned, the social credit and psychological public shaming, then the caning, and then fines. I would definitely probably argue that it goes in terms of like worst to best. It would be caning, psychological public shaming, and then fines would probably be the best. I mean, if we could get rid of all fines, that'd be awesome, right? But there have to be some type of consequences for particular actions, right? Like if somebody is out there murdering a bunch of people, that's not to say, oh, cool, now we can just kill that person. No, not in the slightest. But it is justification to say, hey, we separate this individual from society for a period of time so as to make sure that they're not able to commit more harm. You know, same thing with like speeding in the United States. The reason that we give people fines for speeding and eventually put them in jail is because we know of the relation between going over a safe speed on roads and causing harm to other people. We know that as you increase your speed, you're more likely to have the ability to hurt people, right? So we give you a fine to say, hey, don't freaking do that, so that hopefully it doesn't get to the point where somebody actually hurts somebody else, you know? So, I mean, my beautiful utopian ideal would be very in line with what I say about most things, which is proper education and healthcare from a very early age for the entire populace is something that would result in a better world where people would just actively choose not to do some of the worst things in society because there would be no benefit, right? Because we would all have more education. We would all be more knowledgeable on things. And that would stop a lot of the problems, in my opinion. Again, that's this beautiful utopian ideal that'll probably never happen. But, you know, hey, I would say, again, of the three listed, the fines definitely seems like the best, you know, outcome.
So the issue with the fines, I think the reason why he's calling it classist is because, you know, I don't know, a $200 fine to a poor person is much more significant to a $200 fine to a millionaire. Completely. So by having fines, you're making it basically you're giving a license to richer people to just do more, violate the law more, because like I'll just cover the fine, right?
Yep.
Like speeding is a lot easier for richer people, because even if they get a fine, they're like, that's no problem for me,
Yeah.
What about fines that are proportional to your net worth?
Now, so a system like that, yeah, would make so kind of in the sense of the progressive tax, but it would be the progressive fine. And so it would be based more on what you do actually have the ability to pay. Now, some people would probably very quickly argue against that and say, well, then what you're doing is just incentivizing people to be poor so that they can commit more crimes, because then they wouldn't have to pay for them, right? I don't think that's a great argument, but I can see people saying that in response to that. Does that make sense?
No, that makes no sense, because
so if
people commit crimes to get rich, why would you get poor so you could commit crimes to get rich?
So the argument would be similar to the argument that is often leveled at welfare and stuff in the United States, which is that welfare incentivizes, and again, I don't agree with this, I'm just saying this argument for devil's advocate's sake, but the welfare line is such that individuals that make a little bit more than it are actually more incentivized to make less money so that they can retain the full benefits and not have to work. That's the argument. But so the argument with this, the argument in relation to this would be, if we are taking a certain percentage of the population and saying you don't make enough for us to actually fine you, then it would kind of be the situation we're in now, but reversed. Instead of the rich people being the ones that can get away with stuff, the poor people would be the ones that could get away with stuff.
I mean, how many people are going to try to make less money?
Well, I
think it's going to be a minor thing.
Yeah, I agree.
I think it's going to be a minor thing.
I don't think that argument holds well. I think that is what people would instantly say back to it. But I would say the same thing that I said earlier, which is the fix for that, again, in this perfect world, we can do anything we want, would be education and healthcare. Because if you have proper education and healthcare, then you would never be in that position to begin with.
Also, jailing people is a great equalizer. How about you don't find anybody, but they just have to go sit in.
Everybody just has to go to jail. Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, that would go against some principles in the United States, technically.
I know. But you know why that's an equalizer? Because a rich people's time, his time is every hour is worth more in dollars to him than every hour of a poor person, right? So whatever your hour is worth to you, that would be
how much
going to jail is already a proportion, like relative to someone's net worth, right? So you can't even lie about your net worth, because whatever your time is worth to you will taking that away from you by putting you in a cell.
Yeah. There would have to be some extra safeguards in place, because outside individuals can put money into inmates' bank accounts essentially while they're in jail. So like I could right now just go online and just find any random person that's in jail in Tennessee and just send them money, and it won't actually matter as long as the money is legitimate, right? As long as I can just prove that it's not just like drug money or anything, right? And all I would have to do is just be a business owner. If I'm just a business owner,
but still, I think like rich people would not like just sitting in a cell.
Oh, I agree. Yeah, I also would not be a fan. Yeah.
Asian Americans saying for rich people, parking tickets is the price of parking. Yeah, so just send them to jail from now on. You get locked up for parking. Every time you get stopped for parking, just lock up. How about this? How about fine poor people and lock up rich people?
Okay.
No, just lock everybody up.
Just lock everybody up.
It's not like the prisons are overpopulated in the United States.
No.
We have plenty of space. Plenty of space.
Oh man.
Asian Americans so a social credit score? No.
I don't like that one either. That's a really weird concept too for me. But yeah, I think there is definitely an argument to be made about a scaled fine system. right? Yeah.
Yeah, sliding
I
scale effect. Definitely.
Yeah, I do think there's a good argument to be made for that, especially because there are a lot of instances in the United States where people who basically did absolutely nothing are in jail for the next 10 years of their lives just because they literally couldn't pay a $50 fine, and that's
Yeah.
absurd. That's just absurd. On every level, that's absurd. The amount of money that it costs to keep that person in there for that entire time is so vastly more money than the $50 fine that the city government is out. Like, oh my gosh, it's just terrible.
Mm.
But
All right, we got a $20 super chat from Secular Sakai. Thank you so much. What a big one. Thank you so much. That's very generous, right? Secular Sakai saying, I've come across networks of people in my work and activism supporting Iranian protesters, revolutionaries in Iran, and the diaspora, Canadians, Americans, Europeans, Ukrainians, and more directly, are more directly, I think, communicating, are more directly communicating. How can Atheist Republic help? Well, Atheist Republic is working on an operation called Operation Iranian Renaissance, or OPIREN. That's what we're doing. Oh, wait, is that what you are trying to get me to? Because I know you care. Yeah, I think that's what you're trying to get me to speak about that. Because I know Secular Sakai wants to meet it. Yeah, so. Oh, that's so sweet. Secular Sakai just gave us a $20 super chat to get me to talk about Opiran. So it's like that's very sweet. Thank you. Here's what we're working on. So this is Operation Iranian Renaissance, and the website is opiren.com with two R's, OPIRREN.com. And right now we actually need some donations to keep this project going, guys. So what we're doing is we're creating guidance material for, and giving the Iranians the tools and the knowledge and the equipment to be able to fight for their rights and fight for their freedom, right? So if you go, we have the English version and the Farsi version of this website. So you can see some publications that we have here. Is this one is tells you how to take care of bullet wounds. We have a couple. I don't know where to see the other ones. Right, download the PDF. Download the. So our mission, future projects. This one is a safety protocol and what to do in a protest. So how to it's a one-page PDF summary of the things that you need to do to keep yourself safe in a protest. This one is a PDF that gives you all the guidance on what to do with bullet wounds if you get shot. There's a lot of other projects coming up, but we are working with a volunteer team basis, but they are busy with their own lives, so we can't just like constantly ask our volunteers to do that. So we need to actually start hiring people. That's why we need donations. Mm-hmm. But if you look at future projects, actually, let me read the mission. So, mission domestically is to create easily accessible materials for Iranians to equip themselves with self-protective skills and increase practical knowledge in maximizing safety while fighting for their rights. We have like material coming in teaching you how to make helmets with at-home material, with how to build bulletproof vests at home, how to deal with tear gas, how to deal with batons. For Iranians in the diaspora internationally, the goal is to seek to empower the Iranian diaspora by providing simple tools to pressure elective representatives outside of Iran to reflect the voice of freedom-seeking Iranian people in key nations' policies towards Iran, right? So there's a donate button here if you guys want to help this mission. But what is the future projects we have coming up? Future projects. So we want to create templates and guidelines for Iranians with dual citizenships to contact the. I already read that one. So yeah, go guys. Again, it's opiran.com. Let me actually go to the homepage and post the link to it in the live chat. If anybody wants to go there and check it out and support us, that would be great. Yeah. But yeah, thank you again, Secular Sakai, for. I know this is like what is AR doing? I wonder what is AR taking to help. Like, well, we have a whole project that we're working on. A whole project. Oh, by the way, guys, if you can help us with getting us in contact with people that might be able to help us with this, get connections, get people that could guide us, could help us, could fundraise for us for anything, all of that stuff. Contact Susanna, and with Susanna at atheistrepublic.com. Susanna at atheistrepublic.com. By the way, Susanna made that website. She coded that website, which is pretty impressive. Yeah. So she knows how to do that, which is amazing.
Yeah. And there's a lot of good stuff going on behind the scenes. So definitely.
Yeah. Okay. And if you have an Iranian friend, please introduce that website to them. Yeah. Send them the website. Okay. Thank you again for that. Okay, this one, we answered this one. There, next question. Why do people claim Jesus Christ rose from the dead after 3 days when by any measuring standard you get at most 2 days? 2.5 days.
Yeah.
2.5 days? 2 days.
Yeah, pretty much. It's the best way I can explain it is, first off, it doesn't make sense, and it's okay that it doesn't make sense. It doesn't have to. It's a silly magic story, but the way that it's taught, the way that I remember it being taught, is you have Good Friday and Easter Sunday, okay? And so because Friday, Saturday, and Sunday are just 3 days, because they are Friday, Saturday, Sunday are 3 days, that's why we say it. There's really no other good explanation. I guess you could make an argument about like numerology and talk about like the power of 3 and how important that is and whatever. But most of that is just BS from my understanding. It's just literally the fact of, the story goes, Jesus was crucified on Friday, then Saturday happened, and then he rose on Sunday, and that's it. That's the best explanation I ever remember. So yeah, time-wise, it's wrong, but
I think the more important question is, why did he come back at all? Because we had a deal that he dies for our sins. If he's supposed to die for our sins, then if he's not dead anymore, does that mean that the deal is over?
I would say it feels like he kind of what's the word? Like renege, but I don't know if everybody knows that word. It's a really weird word. Oh man, I'm trying to think of the other term and my mind's just going blank. But he didn't hold up his end of the bargain. Nullified, maybe. Yeah.
Nullified the contract.
Yeah, that's a good way. I mean, he did. There were certain agreements on both sides, and it appears that Jesus did not hold his. I assumed when it says, dead, you would just stay dead, right?
Yeah. I mean, he never died, because you don't think people die. He died for us. You should have said, he was tortured for half a day and crucified for our sins. And it's not that big of a sacrifice. Can I just say that? I asked a priest one day, and he couldn't stop. I enjoyed the fact, I asked a Catholic priest that, and he could not stop laughing. And I appreciated his humor. He was like, so you're saying it wasn't that big of a sacrifice? And he was enjoying. He had never considered it. And he was like, I honestly don't have an answer for you. I was like, it's like we act like it was the biggest sacrifice in the world, but who wouldn't make that deal? I mean, you get tortured for half a day, you get crucified. It's pretty bad. Okay, I'm not going to act like it was like a good day. Right?
Oh, no, it sucked.
No. But you save all humanity. Do you really need to be as good as the Son of God
and
to make it okay?
And you get to live forever in eternity, in peace and happiness. Right.
Right. I would make that deal. I would hey, Armin, how about we torture you for half a day? I'm like, that sucks. What do I get? And we save humanity. I'm like, okay. I mean, I'm still pretty scared. Maybe I'm too weak to okay, maybe I'll do it. And I will make you happy forever for eternity. Why did you? Well, I forget the saving humanity part. I'll just take the deal. Even with that, no, I'm kidding, by the way. But even each one of these by itself would be worth it, right? I mean, even without saving humanity, if you say like we'll torture you for half a day, but after that you get to be the king of heaven, I was like, sure,
Yeah.
Forever, for eternity.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It's going to be a little rough at first, but and you get the
I have to
promise.
take
Remember,
it.
don't forget this. You also, not only do you get that promise of reigning eternally, you know, in perfect bliss and whatever in heaven, but you also know that you only really have one thing scheduled on your calendar for the future, and that is coming back and slaughtering all of the unbelievers with your army. So it's kind of like, it's a really badass story. Like from Jesus's perspective, he really won that whole thing. Like it really wasn't that big of a deal, you know? So yeah, I mean, it's a silly.
Tema is saying perhaps the deal was for only for the 3-day span. So you so your sins are not forgiven. Your sins were forgiven. He died for your sins, so your sins were forgiven for only those 3 days.
Right.
So you should have taken the chance to do all the sinning that you can on those 3 days, because everything else, like Jesus is not dead. Jesus is alive. So your sins are still standing.
It's like a store doing like a half off promotion or something, and it's like only this weekend. Get all your sinning in.
It was a 3-day purge. It was purge time. It was like no sins for 3 days. Go crazy, people.
Eat as much pork and shellfish as your heart desires.
Oh my god, that's good. We're changing Christianity.
Yeah, I like that version.
Okay. Yeah, I like it too as well. Wait, I'm gonna put do we have time? I'm gonna put a link to people coming up in the community tab. But guys, we're gonna leave as fast as possible if you guys don't come up. Okay, so I'm gonna so for YouTube members only, there's gonna be a link in the community tab. If you're a YouTube member, you get to come up and talk to me and Secular Rarity, but you have to be to the point to ask your questions if you do want to come up, and keep it short, right? But I have only 2 more questions, and if nobody comes up by the time I finish these 2 questions, we're gonna head out. Okay. So here's the last 2 questions. So this is one, and after this we have one more. Oh wait, I already answered this one. Did I highlight? Did I mistakenly unhighlight something? No. Okay, so we have only one question. Did we answer everything? Why do people claim? No. This is a new question.
It's
relevant.
Yeah.
This is a different one. It's similar.
Vein.
Yeah, that last one was from Thomas. This one is from Gage and American. Okay, so Jesus took 3 days to respond. Oh, okay, so we're getting similar questions. Whilst the Monkey King grew a new head seconds after beheading. Is Buddha magic?
I think it's supposed to be like greater than. Like
greater than. Why do you talk like that? You say greater than. What? Can you not type? Greater than Jesus' magic? Well, obviously it is, right? Obviously. Yeah.
The stories.
I mean, I don't know. Yeah.
The stories throughout, you know, a lot of those religions, in that kind of space are much more fantastical than most of the things that we find in like the Bible, which is really kind of frustrating because it kind of feels like they just didn't try that hard, you know, for the Bible stuff. Like it was just like Jesus spits on a guy's face and now he can see. And then you've got like over in, you know, Hinduism, some dude's dick getting cut off and turning giant and setting the world on fire. Like it's just radically different stories, you know, like.
Well, I'm going to put my Christian hat on, right? Yeah. I'm going to say this shows what you heathens are impressed by. Okay. You're impressed by meaningless magic tricks,
right?
So you think it's great, like you think God cannot like make a person grow back a head. God created galaxies. Okay, this is nothing to him. Okay, but what you fail to recognize is what was so impressive about Jesus is the whole taking on the whole sin of humanity part. And The Monkey
Right.
King growing a head, that's not impressive.
Right.
The impressive thing is that a god who creates galaxies like it's nothing, decided to reduce himself to a human body, so such a powerful entity can suffer for you. A god that doesn't need to suffer decided to suffer so that he could take on your burden of all your sins. And that is the greatest miracle of all.
So what was the whole point of the... I mean, no, that was great. Honestly, I think that's spot on. I mean, that's perfect.
Yeah.
But what then was the point of the whole loaves and fish thing? What was the... Why do that then? Like,
well,
you know?
Well, that's yeah, but it's not just it's okay. So let me put my Christian hat on. Okay. So again, these other tricks by these heathenistic religions is to like be like woo wow, like to entertainment, right? It's so to just make you feel like, oh, look how cool this religion is, so come to us. But only a true religion, instead of trying to give you magic tricks that fascinates you, is trying to give you a lesson with the miracle. It's not just a miracle to impress you what God can do, but also to teach you what you're supposed to do.
Okay. I mean, I'll take that.
I should be a preacher.
You should. You should start. Yeah, you should start your own like Christian like version, and then just tell them, when some people
do this with everything. You want me to do Islam next? I could do Islam as well.
Oh my God.
See, somebody in Persian is saying, "I'm now." You made me into a Christian now with this. Asian American saying, Monkey King teaches you to find the strength in yourself and friends, not in a higher authority. Well, that's okay. Well, I could attack that. Like, yeah, that's easy to say from somebody who could just grow heads. Like, oh yeah, why don't you all just find your strength within and just just grow a head when somebody cuts off of your head? Like, oh, sure, Monkey King, a great lesson. We will we will be strong enough, and if somebody just shoots us, we will just heal it magically.
I'll get right on that. Yeah. Super practical advice for me in my day-to-day. So
there you go. Yeah. See? I could switch by the way, I could switch as well. I could now go on a defense from the Monkey King. I could do it. Guys, that's good though. Tell me what really All right, so now it's officially the last question. Have you ever considered including obscure religious rules into your blasphemous art? There are a lot of humorous and outdated rules in the Bible and the Quran that might be fun to highlight in your blasphemous art. Yes, we want to get back on doing our comics strips, because we do have blasphemous comic strips, right? But it's hard for us to do because those are expensive to do, and we also animate them. So once we get more patrons, guys, get us back to 400 patrons, because we're now below 400 patrons. And if you get us, go back when you go on our Patreon, go look, click on the comics tag, and you see the comics that we used to make when we were above 400 patrons. And we take really, really weird rules, like the cutting of hand for grabbing your husband, the attacker of your husband's penis verse in the Bible. That's a very obscure law. Yeah, actually, I could show you. Hold on.
Yeah, I think the Safe for Work version.
Yeah, I could show you the Safe for Work version. Let me go to go. Yeah, you know what? Where you could find this, right? Go to blasphemousart.com. So here, right? And then blasphemousart.com. Go to illustrated scripture. Okay, and you can see we have that for Hinduism, for really weird rules in Hinduism. For example, this one in Hinduism is saying, if a woman wants holy water, she shall drink the same water which her husband's feet have been washed. So this is a holy scripture that tells you that women should drink the water that their husbands wash their feet in, just to show the place of women in a society, right? So we have other comics. Oh, I don't know what this one is. This is a Bible verse.
Oh yeah, sexy. This is the emissions like horses. It talks about a whore who is lusting after guys who have penises like donkeys, and they
Oh wow, I
what
haven't
word?
seen this one. This
I
looks
was gonna
pretty
say
good.
I was trying to think of the right word that was like YouTube friendly. They
Yeah.
expel liquid in such quantity during arousal that it was likened to
Yeah.
that of horses, which
Wait. So yeah. So let me actually see. Wow, we have so many good ones.
yeah, there's a lot of good ones. Oh,
Let
that one
me.
was about the
Yeah.
cows breeding in front of sticks and stuff, and then they have striped
Oh,
or spotted animals because you put like sticks in front of cows and then they mate and then they have like striped babies or something. It's really great. It's a really great story.
yeah.
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 So
Wow. We should go
totally
through.
disgusting.
Oh, this one is pretty good. This is like
Oh, that's right.
God's glorious whole. So
God
this
shows
is
him his
like,
ass. Yeah.
yeah, God shows the which prophet is this?
Moses.
Moses, his
Yeah.
butt.
No.
So and he's like enjoying. Moses is enjoying watching God's butt. So
Yeah.
that's another one.
It's a very odd
Um,
story. Again, it just doesn't exactly make sense. Like,
yeah, here's another comic strip when Moses's wife cuts off the foreskin of their son's penis and rubs it on the feet of Moses for some reason.
yeah, that's a good
So
one.
you could,
All the
yeah, that's a
foreskin.
good one. That's in the Bible, guys.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
Moses's wife. It's in the Bible that Moses's wife cuts the foreskin of their son and rubs the foreskin on Moses's feet. The foreskin of their baby boy.
That makes
That's
God
in the
happy.
Bible.
Yeah.
Yeah, and God was almost killing Moses until Moses' wife did that, and God was
There's
happy.
a weird fascination with foreskin. There's a story about a whole town, and like 500 foreskins all collected for like King David or something. It's very, very weird. I don't know why anybody would want to do that. But
Yeah.
I really love the old, and I believe it's in Leviticus or maybe it's Deuteronomy, where they start just listing out a bunch of these rules. One of the rules, I love this one, is you're not allowed to have a single cloth with mixed threads. So like basically everybody on earth is going to hell because most of our clothes are like a cotton polyester blend these days, So you're also not allowed to plant two different crops in the same field.
Yeah, I think we have that as a comic. Guys, go
really
check all of
ones.
this. It's on blasphemousart.com. Go check it out. This is the one. Look, it's a lot of it is censored, but you could view the uncensored here. I'm not going to click on it because our YouTube is. You could see the uncensored ones for just as little as $1 a month, right? So, and you can see all those. It's not like each one of them $1. It's $1 for all of them, right? So this is but you can see the free version because this is like very 18 plus. But that's the story behind the Shiva Lingam in Hinduism.
Great story.
So you can see so you can see that. There's a lot of Hinduism one. There's a lot of Islamic ones. There's a lot of biblical ones. So yeah, go check out all these comics on.
There's one about there's one about the zombie army that came out when Jesus was crucified, I think. That was a pretty fun. That's a pretty fun one. Most people don't know about. But there was a zombie army that came across Jerusalem.
Yeah, when Jesus was crucified, zombies came.
Super weird.
There was a zombie. There was a zombie takeover. People don't know that was the dead rose. Yeah,
I don't know why more people don't talk about it. Honestly, it seems completely normal to me. So it's a great story.
Yeah. So we got a major super chat, and also Eben Kaim is waiting. So let me just read the super chat. We got a $50 super chat, which is amazing. Thank you so much, Lilypad. Every time we do one of these streams, you're very generous. We thank you a lot. So Lilypad is saying thanks for all you do. Oh, that's okay. Keep up the great work. Oh, everyone, please go like the video. It helps. Yeah, guys, please like the video. And thank you for the message, Lilypad. It's also very encouraging the level of support that we get. Guys, look at our community. We're just such a wholesome community. I really appreciate it. But again, thank you. That's very generous. We get thank you. And now let's bring Ibn Qaim.
That's it. Yeah, that's it.
Qaim, yeah. But I get confused because your image in Arabic says Ibn Taymiyyah. And then I was like, and then your English name, it says Ibn Qayyim. So I don't know,
Yeah,
why do you have
Ibn Qayyim is the
Taymiyyah?
student of Ibn Taymiyyah, isn't he? So that's why.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
So yeah, so I'll get straight to the point. Just we're coming up to the 10th anniversary of the murder of Bijan Ibrahimi. I don't know if you guys are aware of this. This murder, which happened 10 years ago in Bristol. So this was an Iranian refugee who was tormented by his neighbours' racism on a day-to-day basis, and he was eventually beaten to a pulp by one of the white guys and set alight. So he was burnt alive. And subsequently, I remember the newspapers went to that area, and almost every person they spoke to said that they didn't feel any sympathy for him, being burnt to a pulp. I've put the link in the chat of his murder, and I just want to discuss, like, what do you think about how far we've come in those 10 years in terms of racism in the UK? Because like this incident kind of shocked me 10 years ago, and what shocked me more than anything was the lack of public reaction to such an incident. Like, it wasn't really, I mean, it was on the newspapers, but there was no real protests about what happened, etc., etc. It was just like accepted as and the fact is that most people in his community didn't care one bit that he was like beaten to a pulp and then burned alive, essentially. And so just wondering what you guys think of this.
So just to be clear, the Wikipedia page that you sent me, it says that it did get international media attention.
Yeah, international, but domestically there wasn't. What happened was the police were investigated, and some of them were, because he'd reported the incidents, the racist incidents, to the police, and they refused to do anything about it. They would just call him a troublemaker, this and that, the other. Just ignore everything. He that he would complain about. Eventually, there was a crowd of people outside his house, like 30, 40 people outside his house, wanting to kind of get at him, and he basically called the police. He got brought into the police station and then just dismissed. They just told him to go back, and then the next day his neighbor came round to his house, beat him to a pulp, and then set him on fire and burned him alive. And so 10, 15 years ago, it was so common, like in certain areas in the UK, to just, like, especially if you were like Kurdish or Persian or Middle Eastern in general, to be just attacked on a day-to-day basis by racist thugs. And the only reason this ended really was because people fought back. It wasn't because, I mean, people say, anti-racism campaigns help this and that, but it was actually fighting back against the white people that were conducting these kind of racist attacks that kind of put them in their place, and resulted in far less racism today than what we had, say, 10, 15 years ago. But this was commonplace. Like, this kind of, not the murder itself, but the torment that someone like Bijan Ibrahimi went through on a day-to-day basis. This was common. And I think Ali Dawa just recently uploaded a video in which he said every single day when he was in Grimsby, when he moved to Grimsby, his family and him were attacked on a day-to-day basis by whites. Just on a day-to-day basis, they would get attacked. His family's house was broken into, this and that. This was commonplace 10 years ago. So just wondering what you think, like, how far the UK has come in those like 10 to 15 years.
So we can, I mean, this is horrible, okay? But the like you're mentioning, the good side, the bright side of it is that we have made a lot of progress, right? So
a lot of it was through violence, through being violent back to the white people that were being violent towards the minorities, and that's what was the major thing that stopped the racism. It was the
I don't think that's the reason.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that either.
But that was the only reason they stopped. Violent. Yeah, no, I think that was the reason they stopped, because once you put people where they're intimidated to stand, to continually be racist towards you, I think was one of the main reasons that it was reduced. Yeah.
Well, that's your guess.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no studies being done on this. Yeah.
Well, the studies that have been done shows that if you respond with violence, it's actually more likely to continue the circle. Like the other side,
which
like Well, I mean,
Do you
I
have,
have to
do you have any
go
study?
find. I don't remember it on top of my head. I just remember seeing that. So what it's not like the way that I think I remember saying is that it's not like you are violent to a community and they respond with violence, and you conclude like, oh, so let's be nice to them instead. That's
Right.
not how it works. Usually when you're violent back to them, they're like, oh, see, that is the
Right.
reason they deserve it. Like it's kind of, it's a cycle. That's why it's called the cycle of violence, because they use your reaction as a justification for why you, both sides use the violence of the other side as the justification for why their violence was justified, right? And
Yeah.
it doesn't have to make sense. I'm not saying it makes sense. Like one side could be in the right and the other side could be in the wrong, but it just usually doesn't work. Like it actually, the reason why stopping the circle of violence actually is so hard to stop is because usually the right answer is one side stopping the violence, even if they are in the right to be violent. You know what I mean? So because they're in the right to be violent, it just doesn't make any sense to them. Like, why do we have to stop? They did this to us. But that's actually how you stop it.
But from my personal experience, from what I've seen, was
your personal experience is irrelevant.
No, I understand, but you haven't provided me any studies. It's just it's just your word I'm taking. You know,
No, don't take my word. I'm no, I'm not saying to take my word. That's why I'm being very skeptical. Like, I'm not saying, like, if I remember correctly, I've seen this. Like, you can't expect me to just remember the studies on top of my head, right? So I'm just telling you that this is what I remember.
Your studies may not be specific to this kind of like they might be specific to, say, for example,
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying as if what I'm saying you have to believe it. You're saying I'm not going to take you up for your word. I'm not saying to do that. I'm saying this is what I remember. I could be wrong. This is an encouragement for somebody to go up and look up the data, not to trust what I'm saying, right? But nobody should trust what I'm saying. Nobody should trust what you're saying, and you shouldn't trust your personal experiences.
Yeah, I agree.
Right?
I agree.
This is an invitement to go and look up and come up with conclusions based on what we can go verify, right? But yeah, go on.
I would just say, just specifically on this case, like it's still on screen right now. The last two sentences here. So an independent review concluded that Bristol City Council and the police were guilty of institutional racism, and 4 police and community officers were fired and 2 were jailed. Like that is direct from this instance, a direct consequence that I think all of us can probably agree probably made the situation better, right? An independent review was done. They said, hey, you know what? Honestly, this was garbage through and through. And these people need to lose their job. And these people even need to go to jail. I think that oftentimes is something when we see, when we see the authorities in a position of strongly condemning these types of acts in a manner that actually has tangible consequences, I think that is more helpful than, say, violence from a community that has experienced violence. I don't think self-defense and violence are the same thing, though. I don't think they're the same thing. And I think it's completely fair to have self-defense and not be violent, right? And I think self-defense in these situations plus actual tangible consequences for the individuals that commit the harm and justice for the victims, I think that's really what does a lot for changing stuff.
I think you worded it perfectly there. Like when I said violence was essentially self-defense, was to fight
standing
back.
up for themselves.
Because
no,
it's just
call it self-defense, because if you say violence, people will think that you're talking about collective punishment. Like
no.
You're not like you're being violent to people in their community, even if they had nothing to do with the crime. That's what people think about.
No. I meant self-defense, but I think you need to show self-defense, or else people think you're an easy target. Because one of the reasons why the black community, the racism reduced in the 1990s was because they defended themselves, whereas like Middle Eastern people just accepted racism as part of day-to-day life. they just accepted it. They wouldn't fight back. They would just be attacked on a day-to-day basis and just do nothing about it. And it was only over the past like 15 years where like people started standing up for themselves, where people realize these guys are not an easy target. We're not going to we're not going to be able to bash them up, and then they're just going to sit there and do nothing. And
but not taking it like, think about the most successful movements against the biggest racism forces that we've seen in history, right? Some of the biggest examples are Dr. Martin Luther King and his focus on lack of violence, and all the walk-ins the Black people did into restaurants, and the civil disobedience. Like that is a form of like, we're not going to take this, but it also didn't involve violence, and it was very successful. And not
I agree.
And also another one is Gandhi, for example. I mean, I know Gandhi has a lot of things that people don't like about him, but again, his movement was very successful, and it was very much focused on nonviolence.
But I agree. I mean, the racism today is nothing like it was 15 years ago. I mean, there was one instance in 2006 where in Swansea, which had a fairly significant Kurdish population, there was not a single Kurdish person that had not been a victim of physical abuse in Swansea, in the town. And it was just shocking. Like there was a murder of a Kurdish guy in a racist attack, and then the newspapers went there and interviewed the Kurdish community in Swansea, and every single person came up and said they were a victim of physical abuse at some point. And so it's changed completely now. Now it's nothing like it used to be like 10, 15 years ago.
I think the main reason is like activism and raising awareness and pushing for better values. I think that is the reason why the world is becoming a better place. I think that's the main reason. But go on, Secular Rarity.
Well, I was just gonna say, oh shoot.
Oh, I'm sorry. I interrupted
it's
you.
not. No, it isn't. No, it's all good. It's all good. It just happens every now and then. I'm sure I'll. Oh,
yeah, it's happened to me plenty of times. Yeah.
Just what you were kind of saying there, Ibn. Like, so, yes, I think when we look at the overall trend objectively, where not just individual countries, but where the whole world was 50 years ago, 100 years ago, 20 years ago, right? Like, the progress that has been made is really, really vast, honestly. And that's good. That's very, very good. And I think sometimes on the activism side, we forget all of the progress that has been made, or we forget a lot of it. But I also think on the other side too, there's still a lot of really, really pervasive, disgusting, horrible problems, right? Like my city even just did an independent review a couple of years ago, and come to find out, we're jailing more Black people than we are anybody else. And there's not really a good answer for that other than just the fact that they're Black. So like, we still have to make sure that we focus on those problems that still exist. But I think, again, objectively speaking, when you look at the overall trend for the last 150 years, like, heck yeah, it's better. And that's awesome. Like, that's good that it is better. But again, like this year, for instance, I know has been, last year, 2022, has been the largest amount of anti-Semitic violence and anti-Semitic like statements and stuff in the United States for like the past 10 years or something. So it's like, there are still these little moments in the overall scale that are going the wrong direction. And we shouldn't be, just sitting on our hands and comfortable about it. We should still push for that progress. But also, again, 200 years ago, let's just all admit, 200 years ago would have sucked for most everybody. Like,
by the way, we should like, Anish is waiting. So, and we only have 2 minutes. So we need to move on. But thank you. That was interesting. Thank you for bringing this to our attention. Thank you for
10th anniversary. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
I appreciate that you're raising awareness about this person. Thank you.
My pleasure. I'll send you some more information via email about this as well. Just when the newspapers went into the area and everyone basically said he kind of deserved it. That's what they were saying. Like the local community, it was just sickening. Yeah, honestly. But thank you very much, guys. Cheers.
All right. Thank you.
Right.
All right. So, but let's bring Anishan. Hello.
Hello.
You're muted. Unmute yourself.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Hi. How are you, Anish?
Hey.
I'm good. I just came into this room like I didn't have any topic in mind. I'm just a big fan of
Okay.
Armin, so just wanted to say
Aw.
hi.
That's fair.
Aw,
There's
thank you.
a cult if you'd like to join it, Anish.
No.
I don't know if that sounds
How
a
many
little
pints of blood do you drink?
No Kool-Aid drinking required. No
No?
sacrifice. No.
No pints of blood?
No.
No. That would be cool, though. Yeah.
Yeah. You must know how to draw a pentagram to enter this.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, we could incorporate that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you. No, so yeah, thank you for your support. I don't know what to say, but yeah.
Like so
Appreciate that.
the first time I heard about Armin was actually when I was reading through Wikipedia. Okay, I'm fuzzy on the details,
As
but
people
there
do.
was someone who took a photo of our atheism while near the Kaaba, I think, right? And then
Yes.
and
yeah.
then you were part of the effort to get her expatriated from there, and then sort of rescued her, right?
Yeah, but it was the name of it wasn't our atheist. It was Atheist Republic. They wrote Atheist, Republic.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rana Ahmed, and now she is doing her own help of refuge. She has her own program helping refugees, come out of the Middle East and other places. So, yeah, I always felt like I could only help one person, because it's just you have no idea how hard that things was. I had such a major appreciation for other people who help refugees. I was like, this thing is complicated as F, right? But but now that she's doing this herself, I was like, okay, so I only managed to help one person, but now through her, a lot of other people are being helped.
Yeah.
So
And so
like,
I didn't even know how you
Yeah.
looked. I just read about this, and I was like, this guy's cool. And then I found out you live streamed, and then that's why I sort of joined up on Facebook and followed you on YouTube, all that stuff.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Well, we're now trying to do more. Susanna, our CEO, is trying to do that with a lot more people. So yeah, the people who are supporting us are helping us make this happen with more people. Again, like I hope, like my vision for Atheist Republic is so much bigger than what we can do right now. Like I always wanted us to be have a legal team that internationally goes find cases of the people who are in more need and try to find out resources and aid for them. One thing that I'm always jealous of Christians is this, because when refugees left, because I was so involved in noticing Iranians leaving Iran to go to Europe and stuff for refugee status, a lot of them who were ex-Muslim atheists had to pretend like they're ex-Muslim Christians, because there's so much support. Like as soon as they land on the shores, there are churches there, there's money, there's access to lawyers,
There's resources.
They take care of your kids, they give you food, they connect you with the right people. All of that for saying like, yeah, I used to be a Muslim and now I'm a Christian, right? And like, why don't we have that? Why do these atheists have to pretend to be Christians to be able to get this stuff, right?
Because it's the ground resources, right? Like it's all the religions have the sort of organization to have like all the resources on the ground that atheists don't have.
Yep, they have a bunch of money, and it's institutional money. It's money that they've had for the last 100 years. So
there aren't many institutions, are there?
Not really.
The ones that they don't have much money. Okay, but even if we get some money, that still would not be affordable. That's like God money. Okay,
literally.
Yeah, you're right. I didn't even plan that. But like if we get just a little bit of money, but by a little bit I mean like 100,000 or something like that, we could do like lobby governments to because we could use taxpayer money instead of our money to get support for atheists, right? So if we had like the Catholic Church type money, we would go and help these people ourselves. But if we don't have like millions of dollars and we have like hundreds of thousands of dollars, instead of going out and providing the resources ourselves, because that would, if we did that, the $100,000 would just be finished in half a day. We would use that money to go find ways to get a legal team to just lobby like the Canadian government, the US government, the French government, the German government, the Greek government to try to make situations better for ex-Muslim refugees. That's what we would do to go to protect them. Yeah. Anyways,
it does take a lot of money to do that.
Yeah.
And so atheism has had, you know, it as a movement, it's been around for maybe half a century. Christianity and Islam have been around for millennia now, so they have the base.
Yeah, and organized in such a way, you know, there were probably 1,000 years ago somebody that walked around and said like, I don't really think ghosts are real, you know, like there probably were some atheists back then, but they're up until very recently. You're correct, Anish. There just hasn't been any organizations, you know.
I think the first atheist was there the very moment the first religion was there, right?
Probably.
I bet you like the very first moment this guy says like, oh yeah, this rock is my god. There was a guy there right there like, what? Nah.
Yeah, I'm not with that. Yeah.
So that guy was the first atheist right there. Like moments after the first religion, I think. We're that old.
Yeah. They're just, you know, the old adage is that like it's just impossible to get atheists to organize, and everybody's a free thinker, so nobody wants to do the organization thing and the group stuff, and you know, I mean,
yeah. They probably say no Kool-Aid drinking required yet. And the reason why I highlighted that is because I wanted to highlight that may grape be venerated above all other flavors. By the way, we're not promoting this. By the way, I hope like YouTube doesn't think like we're like, yeah, okay, never mind. I should.
It's not a real cult.
YouTube. Yeah. All right, we are over time. So again, thank you so much, Anish, for coming here and giving such a warm and supporting message. I do need the encouragement. So when people say this, I don't know how to react to it. When people say these things, I come off as awkward. I like that's such a sweet like message of support. And every time I respond, I'm like, I could look at myself responding to it. I'm like, you know, I don't know, how do I show appreciation without being so awkward? But I always like, you know what, forget it. Just say thank you and whatever happens. But again, thank you. Yeah.
Keep doing what you do.
All right. Okay, thank you. I will. We'll do. All right. Okay, guys. Bye, Anish. Thank you again. Yeah, I don't know why I'm saying thank you, and then I said, well, thank you again. I'm like, I just said thank you like 3 times. Why do you keep repeating yourself?
That's okay.
I just feel like the first one, you know what I do? I say thank you, and I'm like, that first thank you didn't come across as, because I'm very appreciative, and like it didn't capture it. Like, should I repeat that 4 more times to capture how grateful I am? Like, I don't know.
We always, my whole life, and I didn't notice this until somebody pointed out to me one day. But apparently, just like everybody around, you know, the South, we just say goodbye like 3 times. So it's always like, all right, well, I'll see you later. It's like, okay, you have a good one. It's like, yeah, you take it easy. I'll talk to you, you know, before too long. It's like, all right, we'll see you. Like, bye. All right, talk to you later. It's like, what? Why do we need to do this? Why do we need to say goodbye so much? But it's like, it's kind of like the first one wasn't like sincere enough. Like it didn't stick, you know? So it's like, I get it. You just got to say it a couple of times.
Well, I mean, the Persian culture is worse. Like we have what I call when people are leaving a party or stuff, right? Half an hour goodbye ceremony. People just like standing at the door and just repeatedly saying goodbye to each other. We're just standing there, like we're like, should we just go? Like I remember as kids, like I was like, do you guys want to go back and sit down? Right? Like every time, like
because you have it's a stage by
like,
stage. Right.
Yeah, like why are we all just standing at the exit and just saying like I'm talking? We were just doing that, sitting down. Do you guys want to sit down and continue talking?
Right. That's what the first stage is. You kind of pat your legs and stand up, and you're like, all right, well, we're gonna get out of here. Then you stand there for 10 minutes. Then you take like 2 steps towards the door. Then you stand there. Then you like hold the door. Then you like open the door, and you're still just yeah. I know.
Yeah.
I get it.
I remember as a kid, I was like, I started this thing, and everybody got up to say goodbye and I would just sit down. And people like, why are you sitting down? We're leaving. I'm like, sure you are. Of course you are.
Yeah, we're not gonna leave. We're not going.
And then half an hour later, we're all standing and saying goodbye. I was like, I looked at my brothers like, told you. And then they learned from me. And then every time everybody stood up to leave, they would like they copy me. They would just sit down and they would look at each other like, yeah. Oh my gosh. All right, guys, we're gonna go. We're doing the same thing right now. We're saying we're gonna go like for past half an hour. Yeah. Okay, so let's end this quick. Bye, guys. See you next week. Bye. Mwah.
Wait a second. Wait.
No.
News. We got the news coming up. But even more important, guys.
Oh, yes.
Armin's going to be on Talk Heathen this Sunday. Armin's going to be hanging out with me, taking calls on the ACA show Talk Heathen. So get over to that channel. Come see it. 1 p.m. Central Time. Get there. Show support.
This is the ACA, guys. This is my dream coming true. I can't believe that I've been invited. I never thought I would be invited, right? But now I am. So this is a dream come true. Guys, go watch that show while I'm there. This is really good. So check that out. Check that show. Yeah. All right, guys. Bye. See you next week. Mwah.